Hey everyone, and welcome back to the first/second semifinal round, depending on how you want to look at it here. We're watching Cognitive Gaming EU up against the one, the only Imaginary Team. Imaginary Team beat out SK Gaming in the second round of the preliminaries, and now they're going to be facing off against Cognitive EU. We see Loki and Kronos banned out by Cog, and now Zhang Kui and Athena banned out. First pick goes over to Cog. They go for a lot of picks here. With Loki gone, they can definitely go for a Thor, they can go for a Naja, they can go for a lot of picks here. What will they go for is the question. What do you think it's going to be, DM?
I mean, there's a lot of things on the board right now, but I love the fact that Zhang Kui is getting banned out every game because I really don't want to see him stomp all over people. He's so hard to fight right now. And usually when you see a new god break into the scene, a lot of people have a hard time against him because they don't understand how to properly fight the matchup. I've put a lot of time into studying this character, and I can tell you that even if you know what to do, you can't do it very well. He covers so many options in so many different situations, and I'm not surprised to see him getting removed. But Sobek's going to be grabbed out first, largely considered to be top 2 supports in the game, of course, tied with Athena, who we've been seeing getting picked and banned a lot as well. Over on the right side, we're going to see an early grab of Hercules, but 5 seconds till we see the next person, and it's going to be Agni.
Cog has definitely done their homework here. We saw Captain Twig do a very, very convincing Kronos performance in the last match that they played, so definitely going to ban that out right away. Loki also went to NQ, so they banned out 2 of the strongest roles. In fact, when we saw Imaginary Team win, Loki and Kronos did a very, very strong carry there in the matchup, so banning both those characters out will force Imaginary Team into deeper charts of their picking stage, see what they decide to go with, and I think Cog really wants to test them here. So we're going to see Sobek locked in. They're going to go for Naja, not only 2 surprising. Thor still on the table. Naja still on the table. I'm surprised to see Hercules and Agni being picked up with those 2 characters still there. Zeus now being picked up, most likely going to go to Rest Area, and there he loves his Zeus play. So we'll see how that works out for them. They're mostly going to lock this in. They will indeed. So I'm excited to see Zeus finally getting a little more game time.
I mean, we saw him get banned last game. Perhaps there's something that the EU scene knows that maybe we don't, but I mean, this is the second time he's been on the top 5, so it could be really strong. But here comes Apollo, a pretty obvious pick. We're probably going to see Neith getting picked up over on the COG EU side. Now Imaginary has one more choice to make this round. It still looks like they need a jungler and possibly a support, which is going to be Bacchus. Again, a very, very popular pick. So they're going to remain here for their final pick, which will be their jungler. On the left side, 2 picks remaining. Now Zeus could probably either go mid or solo. They can even use him maybe even as their carry role. It really depends on what they're going to be going for. So they have a lot of ambiguity for their picks here.
They certainly do, and a lot of room for other picks there. I mean, you could go for another jungler, Naja, very powerful jungler there, so most likely not the option. Keep over to Despair, going to pick this up. They're going to go for Neith. No, they're going for Shibalanke here. Game Hunter has a very powerful Shibalanke play, but a very powerful Neith as well. He's well known for his Neith. We saw Shibalanke, or actually Game Hunter play Shibalanke the last 2 weeks in a row, I believe. Very, very powerful performance from them. In fact, we've seen him go solo 2v1, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, where he just completely dominated everything. It's surprising enough, no one really expected that to happen. And Hell's gonna be the last lineup there. I know Spray loves his Hell, so we'll be probably taking that into the solo role. Zeus in the mid lane, and then Sobek and Shibalanke in the long lane. But of course they can swap things up.
Look at this. Look how far Thor got down. I don't think I've ever seen him wind up in a game and get picked 10th. I think I've ever seen that. In tournament,
I've never seen Thor last picked.
That was pretty crazy. So we're going to see Epandary going into the jungle. NQ most likely going into the short lane, the solo lane. Captain Twig going to reprise his role in mid. And then, of course, Exotic and Dazer are going to switch over to that duo lane. Trix Tank's going to be supporting Game Hunter once again. Looks like Restarian's going to be picking up Zeus. I'm not sure if they're going to put him in solo or mid. I know they like to switch it up a lot. Of course, Spyron going to be reprising, or I'm sorry, taking up the opposite role of Zeus. And then, of course, Nasha jumping into the jungle. Now, the only thing I want to note here is that we only have one healer in this game. Now, granted, Hercules can heal himself, but Hell is the only person that can heal her team, and that's a pretty big thing. So I do expect some type of creeping curse to come out here. But then again, they do have the Bacchus. I like to call it Mortal Strike. You know, anything that reduces healing, Bacchus does have the ability to do that. So I mean, there's definitely a lot of potential on either side.
Yeah, it also comes down to whether or not Hell takes off or not. If they gank Hell a lot to the point where she's not caught up in momentum or relevancy, they're not really, hard pressed to get that, prevention of healing throughout the rest of the match. And back to your original point, I think they will send Zeus in the middle lane. Zeus is probably very easily exposed in the solo lane versus jungle gank, and really needs the levels that you get from helping the jungle with the side camps in the mid lane to catapult himself forward. Zeus has a very powerful level 1 invasion, but a very awkward level 1 through 5 or so when you're starting to get your first few levels and abilities. Definitely goes for more poke and kill potential than anything else in the early stages of the game. But once you hit level 8 or 9, Zeus starts to get that threshold point where he has enough damage and enough presence to force people back and actually have some kill threats on other players on the enemy team. So definitely going to be looking for that. And I think they'll send Zeus in the middle lane. But again, they could also go for the side lane solo with a 2-man middle. EU definitely very high propensity towards the 2-man middle with the side lane solos and the jungle rotation. So we'll see how that works out for them. They're going to actually head into the game pretty soon here. We'll cut to a brief timer. We may actually even cut it short if it gets too far in. We're going to cut to a 3-minute timer here, guys. We'll get this game all set up for you. So stick around. We'll be back in just a few minutes while we get this all good to go. And definitely go too far because this is going to be the first semifinal and the last semifinal actually, since the first one ended in a DQ, and we'll be heading directly into the finals right after this. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the last semi-final round of the day. We're watching Cognitive Gaming EU up against Imaginary Team. The players are in the map and ready to go through the jungle and try to pick things out. They're pinging the enemy jungle here from Imaginary Team. Looks like they might want to go for an invasion here, but before too much happens, actually Bacchus is probably going to walk over and place down a ward. Does he have a ward? He actually does place it down right here, so they have vision of the enemy jungle. But again, let's cover who's playing what and where they're going. Trix Tank on Sobek playing that support role. We have Cuvo Fred on Naja in the jungle. Game Hunter on Shibalanke, most likely leading up with Sobek in the left side of the lane. Sprayarn and Hell on that solo lane, right lane, and then Zeus played by Restarian in the middle lane. Outside the map, you have an Imaginary Team, the red team, looking for an invasion on the left side over here. Thor is being played by Ependary. Next to him will be Agni, played by Captain Twig. Exotic on Apollo on the opposite side of the map, landing with his lane mate Bacchus, played by I'm Dazer, and of course NQ on Hercules, playing that solo role.
See, this is what I love. There's no reason to 5-man the mid camps. Go and steal the enemy jungle, and bang, blue buff is taken. Put on a Game Hunter, is going to be throwing bolas all over the place. Great start so far for Cog EU. It's going to wind up that they're maybe a little bit behind in terms of golden. Actually, no, they wind up a little bit ahead. They were able to steal a good amount there. You see the jungles are getting cleared a lot. The wards are coming down, but they didn't really amount to much. I mean, if you're going to place those wards down and then not invade, like all the way in the end to the right there near the green team blue buff, or the blue team blue buff, I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to do with that one. But it will give them a little bit of vision. But so far, I mean, having Shibalanke with enemy blue buff is crazy, because now at any point they can go into the jungle and refresh that blue buff to allow him to just spam out his abilities and have insane amounts of push potential.
Yeah, the push is going to be the main focus there. We're actually going to see Imaginary Team swap up the roles here. Hercules is going to be solo in the left long lane, and then Bacchus Apollo going in the right lane. We see Naja actually joining up with Hell to help push that back. So Apollo and Bacchus not really getting that much of a push early on. The blue buff will go to Hell, and Naja probably just going to go head right into the jungle role. That ward here is actually really important from Imaginary Team, since they are doing a 2-man side lane, short lane. That ward will help them a lot with the rotations and allow them to push aggressively without too much worry. So Bacchus and Apollo, Apacus is what I'm about to say. That's the combination that we're going to see here. Apacus getting pushed back here by the Hell.
Hell's going to be just kind of hanging out here. Sprayarn, I guess the most known player for Hell play, is doing a very good job so far. Already has Bacchus sitting slightly below half, using that heal to her potential and using that blue buff to ensure that she can just, keep it pushed, but they're doing a good job of keeping it back there. You see Bacchus taking a lot of damage, could actually get pushed out here if she's not too dangerous. He's going to use the heal there, which I think is a really good idea. He's going to be able to push back. I don't love this option here. Dazer's taking a lot of creep damage. Sprayarn takes the first blood, immediately gets picked up. Too greedy. Don't mess with Sprayarn's Hell, especially in enemy minions. Not a good call here. And it actually looked like it's not over. Oh, a great dodge by Exotic's barely going to get him out of here. That would have been a double kill in the solo versus duo lane for Spray. And still that blue buff ticking away, keeping him in this, healing those minions and pushing away.
And you see Hercules solo in the left lane very, very effectively, dropping quite low, but Sprayon getting a 1v2 kill on the Bach is very important. Apollo almost falling as well, as you mentioned there. And this really bodes well for Cognitive EU. I mean, you see how you have Hercules soloing left lane quite effectively as he jumps on Sobek, and he kind of gets forced back there. Tail Whip comes out, but again, the mitigate wounds and keep him alive for now. Right lane, Bach is giving away a kill to Sprayon, and you know, Hell is one of those characters who relies heavily on momentum. The more damage and more levels Hell gets, especially in a 2v1 setting, the more bursty the she will be, and also, you know, the burst, you know, extends into heals on top of that, so she will do burst damage as well as burst healing, to the point where Bacchus and Apollo are going to have a tough time shutting her down here, and they're going to start needing Thor's help.
I mean, I think it's already gotten to that point, considering she's repeatedly pushing into the towers. Look at he's forced to use the Hand of Gods on the creep wave just to get himself some gold there. And unfortunately, Apollo wasn't even there for that extra experience. Granted, I mean, it's probably better that Bacchus is getting some solo, because still yet at 3 minutes, he's not level 5, and he's getting kind of pushed out. He's actually the only person on the map right now without his ultimate.
There goes Zeus going to double charge on the Thor. One more charge. We'll get the stun off right after he lands into a Sobek ultimate. Pop his ultimate. Sobek probably going to pop his early. Actually gets it off just barely. Naja goes up in there. This is going to be a dead Agni as he lands right back down into the Naja ultimate. Free kill on Agni. Sobek escaping with his life, but trading it for the Agni. Great rotation by Kage-Yu. Catching that right off. Zeus actually taking a lot of damage for the minions here. He drops so low. Zeus almost dying to heartbeats in the middle lane, but very, very close call. Tanks it just enough. Sobek's going to run right into Bacchus here, then have a tank slap fight as Naja pushes up the main. Armurely Sash right into the box. He's going to jump over the wall. Naja knew that was going to happen, so it backs off. Shibalonki getting pushed back by the Hercules in the left side lane here. Shibalonki pops his ultimate, gets some movement speed away. Hercules is a little bit too far away, not going to be able to land an Earthbreaker. He might be able to throw his ultimate if he has it. He does, he throws it, and he's going to dash away from it.
Actually, just came off a cooldown there. He got kind of lucky with that one. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to try to go for it, but Game Hunter put himself in a pretty bad spot there. Got hit by the driving strike, just barely dodged the Earthbreaker, which could have spelled his doom, but they did get out, and now it looks like they're going to have a chance at this blue buff. I see Bacchus over on the left side of the map now. It looks like they are going to swap here, but the damage has already been done. You can see Hercules right now sitting level 7 versus Spray, who's going to be sitting level 8 and has a fair amount of gold. I mean, he's sitting at 3450 right now, as opposed to Hercules, who's sitting still below 3K, so he definitely has some work to do to catch back up.
Yeah, about 600 gold up is Hell over the Hercules, who's now joining the right side lane. They're going to swap this up, but this will help with the Apollo to get that farm and catch himself back up into the situation. You see Shibalonki is sitting at 2795 versus the Apollo, who's actually at 2706. They're not that far apart, surprisingly enough. It looks like Shibalonki has had a little bit of tough time farming over the left side lane. Sobek getting a little bit more gold than him just because of that assist he had in the middle lane. So now we have a standard 2v2 in the left long lane. We also have a 1v1 in the right lane, and then a 1v1 in the middle lane with two junglers going at it. Overall, we're going to see a 1300 gold lead for Kage-Yu, as well as a 1700 experience lead. There's a tail whip and a harassment coming out for Shibalonki in left lane. Here comes the Naja gank. There's only 2 minions. The backside. Sobek pops his ultimate, slowing it down. There's a Shibalonki ultimate. Armurely Sash going up into the air. They're going to be able to react to this. Sobek ultimate a little bit wasted there. The timing's not too perfect, but there's the creeping curse. Apollo goes up in the air, but not giving time. The chariot actually dies right as it comes down. Now going to Bacchus. There's the slow from the poison darts, and a detonate from Zeus will be a double kill in the left lane for Kage-Yu. Agni's going to rotate over, but what can he do at this point?
I mean, at the same time, we also had a gank over on Sprayon. She has taken the Anvil of Dom, Mjolnir's Attunement, Berserker Barrage, Tectonic Rift, Driving Strike, Earthbreaker, and Excavate repeatedly, and still winds up with more health than Hercules, forcing him back to the base, Thor back into the jungle, and he's sitting at about 75% health thanks to the healing. I think people are really underestimating Hell in the current meta. She's so quick. She's so strong. Not to mention she can heal those minions, but now look at this. Into the jungle still. He knows that he's there. He peeked him out, saw him before, and still no threat, forcing him to use Driving Strike into Hand of the Gods just to clear that wave out, and now he's free to just walk around the map, pick up the blue buff, and just continue being Hell.
Yeah, that healing is going to be very, very important for her going forward, and she's getting to the point where she has the amount of protection she needs from the Greaves. She can go right into probably like a Void Stone or a Wall of Absolution at this point. You do actually see 3 physical damage dealers, and with a 0-1 Agni, I think Wall of Absolution wouldn't be that bad of a pickup right now for the Hell. She's just going to go right past the Hercules and clear the wave, just does not care at this point. A 1 going to come out sooner with the basic attacks just to clear those out herself, using that stance switching to get a few more basic attacks. Naja comes out, clears out the movement speed buff, kind of waiting for the damage about to fall off. Probably going to fall off in a few seconds here, the fact that he's just standing on it means that there it is. So we can pick up the movement speed buff and head over to the left lane. Shibalonki actually does not even finish his boots and goes right into combat blink. I don't know if he feels like he just wants to be safe and farm all day, or if he just feels like he doesn't need the damage right away. But he's going to finish that off before even getting the penetration from his warrior Tabi, as you see Sobek kind of looking into the middle lane.
Oh, speaking of middle lane, we have a possible 3v3 engage. Our Artillery Sash there not going to translate into a ring or Windfire Wheels, but the damage is being done here. Cubo Fred kind of caught out of position. Apollo joins the fight, and right is so beautiful gets picked up by the Windfire Wheels. He might be able to get up, but actually Cubo Fred drops as he lands. Trix Tank doing some damage to Ependary. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to escape here. Looks like Rising Jaguar was not able to do enough damage. He's going to use Charge Spray just to barely avoid the damage coming out from Driving Strike, and Mesmerize actually going to stop the possible Earthbreaker pull. So Imaginary Team finally winds up on the board there. 2 for 0 in that situation. Great rotations over, and they're going to wind up with both mid camps as well.
Yeah, proper usage of all their abilities there, and I like the fact that they focused the Zeus before you get the detonate off. He put up the ultimate, and that's a very long animation. For those of you who don't play Zeus may not have the feeling of how long it actually is, but it's a very long animation to actually throw down the ultimate, even if you cancel it. So once you commit to that animation, a lot of times you will die, and Zeus actually did not get a detonate charge off in that fight when he had a full stack there, I believe, on those Thor for that engagement. So, you know, a lot of lost damage in that situation, but also good strategy from Imaginary Team to take him out before that burst came through. We see Shivalonki still farming out the left side lane, but when we check back in the graphs, we're going to see 1,100 gold lead for Akagi, a bit of a dip there after that fight, and still 1,100 experience different. The exact same that we saw for the gold graph for Cogs. They're still ahead at the 9-minute mark, 4-2, but Imaginary Team has proven they're not out of this just yet.
So I think what makes Hercules as a character so good, aside from the guaranteed stun now in Driving Strike, is the looming threat of burst damage, especially at his tower line. But before we talk about that, it looks like we do have an initiation. Our Artillery Sash directly into Windfire Wheels. Spray is right there. We have Mitigate Wounds off. He gets stunned out there. Actually misses the shot. It looks like Sprayer missed a shot there, and it's going to cause them the kill. But overall, I mean, it's still going to wind up in their favor. They're going to be able to push this tower down. And, of course, the Reds up, so Nasha still in the right direction. Bach is actually looming near this Gold Fury. He's going to take a few shots from Sobek. Fearlessly going to walk away from that. And now he's going to join up with Agni over in the mid lane. It looks like the camps are coming up here. Or they're hugging this area for what reason, I don't know. But the ring could actually do a ton of damage there. Opts to not go for it. Could be in some trouble. He sees Hercules chasing as well. I'm surprised he's actually not going for it. But a great cleanse there onto Cubo Fred from Rastarian. I'm sorry, from Sprayon will allow him to stay safe, even turn around and poke out if necessary. I'm sure he has Hand of the Gods up here. Looks like he's grouping them up. Actually, just Driving Strike will be able to clear that up. And now it looks like all the fights have been washed out. Still looming kind of towards the Gold Fury, but overall still Cog has a small advantage.
You see how heading home there to pick up what looks like a finished breastplate of Valor. You see Thor, Hercules, and Apollo, the main proponents of damage here, along with Agni up against a Hell who has breastplate of Valor finish, has lots of protections from those Reforged Greaves, as well as the protections from the breastplate. Here's Thor up in there, dunking right down, gets a stun there on the Shibalonki. Bacchus ultimate, getting the Intoxicate off and getting him to drunk state. Ultimate comes out for the Agni, double kill thus far. Now Sobek in a tough situation. There is the Path of Flames, and one flame wave from him off. A triple kill, trading for the Bacchus, definitely a good pickup. Now going after Zeus here in the jungle, a very tough position for Apollo to be in, trying to buy some time. Good Serenade, there's a stun from the Agni, gets beads out right away. Ultimate comes out for the Zeus. Is it going to be enough? It's not going to be enough. He didn't even get the detonate off in time, and looks like they're going to dash away with 4 kills in exchange for Bacchus, and if you're a Bacchus player, you got to be happy about that.
I mean, I think most Zeus players will agree that his looming weakness is the fact that he cannot cast his ultimate safely. Like Drybear touched on before, it's going to take you about a second or so to get it off until you're actually able to move. So most of the time, you can't even immediately link it. In that situation, he tried to do as much damage as possible, put the ultimate down, but was unable to follow up. One more auto attack even probably would have been able to finish that up. But unfortunately for him, it looks like he was picked up in the lane once again. So Rastarian's actually going to fall, and Imaginary's going to grab the Gold Fury off it, but they're not, I guess they're not inclined to let this go for free. They do actually grab a kill off that as well. Cubo Fred dives in there trying to find something, but winds up finding death instead. So Imaginary Team has actually brought themselves pretty deep into the lead here, 2,600 gold ahead, and it looks like about 3K experience in the lead as well.
Yeah, big swing for them after that last team fight. A tough situation to be in. You can see, with picks like Hell and Zeus in the same matchup, they're really relying on their overall team play and rotations, which the rotations were great in the beginning, but are getting slower and slower as the game goes on. Imaginary team trying to, quicken the pulse here and trying to force Cog to make some mistakes, and they're doing exactly that. We see them just, rotating slowly or getting cocky, or, the mentality may be changing, and Imaginary team is just getting faster and faster. Bacchus getting some good rotations there. Agni actually goes right into a Rod of Tahuti as his first item, and now after the swing of gold, this is going to be a huge pickup. That's going to put his damage up a very large number, which will scale very quickly the more items he gets. So he has a penetration from his boots, a little magic damage there, and goes and finishes at tier 1 Ratatouille. This is a very risky play, an incredibly risky play to go this quickly into a Ratatouille, especially when you're losing the match in the early stages. But the fact that they made a swing here and it started coming back, and they got a gold fury, and he finished it right away, means that his damage is going to be terrifying going forward.
I mean, it can definitely work out. Despite the fact that it's very early, it can be very, very damaging if they don't control him. Right now, he's sitting at 244 magical, and then, of course, everything that he gets at this point is also going to be increased by another 25%. If I was a betting man, and I am, I would expect that next we're probably going to see either Bancrofts or Gem. I mean, something to give him at least a decent amount. Now, Bancrofts could really spiral him out of control.
Well, I think if you take stock of what's happening, I mean, Team Shivalanki ended up rushing the Combat Blink, has a tier 1 Heartseeker right now. Naja sitting 2-3. I think a Void Stone will actually be a very strong pickup here to avoid the damage from the Sobek, Zeus, and the Hell, just to reduce the damage he's taking, get a little more penetration. I think with the penetration from the Void Stone, if you went Focus Void Stone to boot and then right off his boots, pure penetration, then raw damage from the Rod, Agni is going to be doing true damage to everyone on the map and just doing a lot of burst that I think Cog really can't put up with right now.
In that case, I would say Dazer should definitely pick up the Void Stone as soon as possible. Really, really try to support Twig at this point. Level 17, 2 levels ahead of Spray, who's sitting 1-0-0 in his lane. Really, I mean, at this point, Spray had a pretty smart build in the beginning. Stop Hercules' damage, stop the tower damage, go for some cooldown reduction, and just make yourself super tanky. But at this point, because he hasn't gotten a lot of damage, and the fact that the rest of his team is kind of starting to fall behind, they're going to really start lacking in the damage department. So perhaps you're right. I mean, going into Voidstone at this point could be really beneficial just to get rid of a lot of the damage that they could possibly do from Spray. But once again, Zeus getting caught out of position here. Not even out of position at his tower. They're fearless. Jumping in, Trigstank's going to try to do some damage. A good fling onto Twig, and actually Twig's going to get picked up here. I don't know how he'd be able to escape that. He does get grabbed. Kubo Fred, one hit. Now you see Hercules coming over, but the Anvil of Dawn will be enough, and then Apollo will safely jump out of there. So it looks like a 2-for-1, despite the fact that they did get the level 17 Captain Twig. I mean, grabbing 2 people in the process is probably in their favor.
Shiblaki pushing the left side lane, doing a little bit of damage there, dropping that tower about half HP, but again, Apollo rotating over with his ultimate. And this is one of the strengths of Apollo, is the fact that when something happens, you can reposition it at any time. So after a big pickup there in the middle lane, killing both the Zeus and the Naja, Apollo simply just floats over to the left lane and defends it. No need to spend the 150 gold for that teleport, just gets right there and defends that tower. So, Shibalanki wasn't there for the team fight. I don't think they even expected a team fight to come out there from Imaginary Team. They just dove the tower and killed off the Zeus and the Naja. We will actually see that tier 2 Void Stone being picked up by the Agni. A very smart play. I like this pick a lot, especially given the circumstances. The damage output capabilities of Cog is mainly magical right now, with an underfarmed Shibalanke and an underfarmed Naja.
So, NQ fearlessly goes into enemy side blue buff, takes it with no problem. Hell does sniff it out, but by the time she recognizes the problem and tries to address it, it's already gone. He escapes back to his tower with little issue and gets a little bit of experience for his time as well. So he does get back to the tower to earn some of those creeps. Mid lane, once again, pushed up. Captain Twig has respawned. Level 17 now. Still only 1 level ahead now of Restarian, but the gold difference is there as well. Restarian sitting at about 7k, whereas Twig's sitting at 8,600, and he definitely has the damage on his side as well. I mean, still has that Ratatouille, and like he called, Voidstone has been picked up. He's going to be going into Focus Voidstone, but Bacchus has gone into Sov, so don't expect the damage to be increased by too much.
Agni's still sitting level 17. Zeus keeping up with the experience department, level 60 around Hell as well. We see a 3-man rotation to the right side. Hell spotting that out immediately, pinging it aggressively as to say, please help me, I'm in danger. Naja rotates over. The Shiblok ultimate comes out, trying to defend himself. The left side lane looks like he jumps on top. Apollo's going to jump right on top and finish him off. The tower will get the last shot. So a 1-for-1 exchange in the left lane. Apollo and Shiblonki trading blows there. Apollo will lose his stack on his Heartseeker, and Shiblonki, after death, actually gets enough money to, after the kill from the tower, gets enough enough money to finish off his Heartseeker, so no stacks for him just yet. But that's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange, and when it's all said and done, 3,100 gold up is Imaginary Team, as well as 4,800 experience, and they turn this around quite efficiently.
I really like this build. I love the Bloodforge coming out on Apollo here. I think it's really, really strong given the fact that he can give himself a pass of 50%. I mean, if he winds up getting in a good position where he can get three of those 5 shots off, land them and start healing himself up, the damage is going to scale very, very high. And he's going to do a ton of pressure to whomever he might be fighting at the time, especially at this point if he's fighting Xbalanque, who could wind up putting himself in a lot of trouble given the fact that he has spent a lot of money on that early combat blink, and the Heartseeker still is not stacking up.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the Heartseeker into the Bloodforge, especially for someone like Apollo, is really important. Of course, that Bloodforge, I believe, has 5 stacks on it total. But with the passive from Apollo, you can stack that up quite quickly. And with the raw damage, like you mentioned, from the Heartseeker, which means that overall a percentage of a big number there from the Heartseeker and the Bloodforge combined, his healing is going to be very high. Along with his passive, allow him to stack it up quickly and keep himself alive from harassment and also during team fights. And also, the raw damage will affect his So Beautiful and the dunk from his ultimate. So a lot of damage capabilities from Apollo going forward. As long as he keeps those stacks up on that Heartseeker. We see Bacchus rotating left lane, looking for opportunity to jump on the ship. Xbalanque, Game Hunter spots it out and heads on home. We see lots of vision. Look at the amount of wards on the map right now. Sobek running right into the enemy team, trying to ward up the Gold Fury, not going to get in time. There's a stun coming out from the Ogden, not going to land. Thor's up into the air, waiting for opportunity to dunk. He's just inside of range. In fact, he's almost out of range. Sobek goes a little bit further. He's actually going to try and dunk down on the Gold Fury. But again, look at the vision. I mean, we just got 1 ward placed down from Cog towards the medium, or actually towards the medium camp in the middle lane. But again, complete control on the left side of the map. And I think this is a good choice by Imaginary, realizing that Gold Fury is going to be the point of focus. So they want to ward that up as much as they can.
I mean, this is a very surprising lack of vision coming out from Kage-EU. Usually they're so adamant about controlling every single part of the map, and despite the fact that they had a very early lead, Imaginary Team has not only brought this back, but kind of turned the game into their favor completely. I mean, 2,800 gold ahead right now, 4,300 experience, and that Twig is actually pushing level 20 right now. I mean, you see him at level 19, but then of course, I mean, you see Exotic level 16, still ahead of Game Hunter. We have Dazer just slightly behind, but now it looks like we have an opportunity for a team fight here. You hear the Rising Jaguar going off. He's missing a few of the auto attacks. Our Artillery Sash will be good here. Windfire Wheels, no muss, no fuss, gonna take him down. Half his Heartseeker stacks with him, and now this could be Kage-Yu's chance to push a little bit and go for that Gold Fury. They're gonna need to take the objective and work this advantage as much as they can.
They really need to. I mean, that's the biggest point about SMITE, is when something happens, and this is just MOBAs in general, if you get a small advantage, you have a small window to turn it into a big advantage. They need to get Gold Fury, and I don't see any hustle from COG right now. They're kind of just wandering through the jungle looking for something to happen. The left tower could have been taken out. The mid tower could have been pressured. They could have tried for the Gold Fury. They have a tier 2 Hand of the Gods on Sobek. Of course, tier 3 on Bacchus, who is around. I guess they just don't want to pressure it, but I mean, that's still going to mean a 2,700 gold lead for Imaginary Team right now, as the left lane gets kind of pushed back away from the tower as Thor and Bacchus rotate, and they're not going to do anything with that kill.
As you know, any pro player will tell you, if they give you an inch, you take a mile. I mean, that's the only thing you could do, especially in a situation where they're playing from behind, and it's really kind of upsetting to see them not try to take advantage of that major advantage that they just had, considering the fact that Apollo's going to be most of their damage to that point. NQ has no way of rotating over to the left side. They didn't need Hell. It would have been a 4v3 engage, and of course, Sobek was still kind of sitting pretty. They used a lot of their stuff trying to chase Sobek out of the jungle. I mean, they could have really pushed here, and now Dazer sitting low health. I mean, they still have a major opportunity here. They should really try to push this left tower.
Yeah, it looks like they're not going to do either of those things, and it's going to hurt them going forward. I mean, we see actually more defensive items being picked up by Kage-EU right now. They're picking up 2 Breastplate Devour, 2 Focus Void Stones on Hell, and Zeus definitely the major points of damage for them, as Zeus and Hell are the most farmed on their team. We're also going to see a Void Blade being picked up from Naja after the Jotun's Wrath. Probably one of the reasons why Naja has had such a hard time keeping himself alive is the fact that he went for Jotun's first. So initiation here on the right side, Hell's going to cleanse out that slow, as well as the Earthbreak that came out. Hercules has no mana left. Fire Giant camp kind of hanging out here is Naja, looking for opportunity to jump in, maybe use a ring on someone jungling. A lot of time being spent trying to counter here. Looks like the Hercules will head home. Thor's going to head over to the right lane, run right into the Hell. There's the blink in. Berserker Barrage probably coming out soon, but again, level 19 Hell doesn't really care too much for Thor, especially with that Breastplate of Valor.
So running up here, we do have It looks like a little bit of a possible initiation in mid lane. I don't know if they're going to opt to go for it. Nasha actually retreats back towards the speed buff, and now Baka is looking for the mid camp, already taken by Nasha. Is going to just back off here. Right lane, Hell putting herself in a position to maybe start a fight once again. Not everything cleared immediately. I mean, but level 19 Hercules with blue buff, I mean, he's fearless.
Certainly is, and you see Sobek hitting that critical mass point where you have, I mean, you see both Bacchus and Sobek hitting that point, but with the natural stat gains and natural HP and HP5 gains from tanks like Sobek and Bacchus, once you get the sovereignty finished off, you hit a point where you're very difficult to kill, regardless of what level you are and your state of farm, as long as it's not too late, of course. So Sobek and Bacchus both hitting that point, able to utilize themselves very effectively. Naja goes into ultimate left side lane, bringing up the Apollo up into the air. Dash comes out, throws up in there. Can he save his teammates in time? There's the dunk landing on Shibalonk in the backside, gets stunned out. Toxic comes out. Looks like Apollo will live for the time being. Thor now going after Shibalonk. Rotations come out from the audience of Sobek. Sobek grabs the Agni there, throw him right into the Zeus. The charge is going to come out pretty soon here. Naja is going to head back towards his side of the jungle as Sobek rotates over, and that's going to be a big wash. A missed opportunity for Cog. They jumped on the Apollo, but the Shibalonk ultimate into the Thor coming down afterwards was not enough. They had the movement speed, they had the vision, they had the possible stun from the Shibalonk ultimate as it does end the duration, but the Thor ultimate just stopped any dreams of that happening.
Game Hunter actually finally got some use out of that combat blink, escaping from what would have been certain death, so earning him, let's say, about 500 or 600 gold back from that 11, given the fact that he would have given up 300, and now he's going to farm at least 400 to 500 gold in the time that he would have been dead. So it's starting to pay for itself, but he's still a little bit behind here. Sitting level 18, he's starting to catch up, but you take a look at the gold, 8,600. Apollo's still at about 9k, so there's a little bit more potential for damage from Apollo right now. And again, they should be trying to push this advantage. They just did send Apollo back. They could push towers. They can go for Gold Fury. I mean, at least get some wards into the jungle. But this isn't the Cog that I'm used to seeing. There seems to be a very clear lack of, I guess, teamwork and communication. They seemed just separated today.
Well, I mean, they had a good early game, and it seemed like they kind of hit a complacency point where they just gave up a little bit, and Imaginary Team hit a point where they just revved up their engines all the way. We see a Tier 1 Hand of the Gods coming out there from the Thor. Actually, yeah, Tier 1, that's for the 480 true damage. There's the last hit from the Bacchus at 25% HP. So another gold free for Imaginary Team, completely uncontested, and this goes for several reasons. Number one, they're ahead in the game right now. They have the farm advantage, the experience advantage, but they also have map control, and again, you touched on this earlier, DM, the fact that Cog has a severe lack of vision here. They're just not making a press to make sure they have control of the map, and that allows Imaginary Team to do exactly what they want at all times.
I mean, and as of right now, they don't seem to even try to counter the situation. They're defensively warding, which is not going to help them trying to get back into the game. They need to offensively ward, and they're not really going for it. But at the same time, every time they try, it seems that there's a sentry ward ready to be put down in that exact spot, and they just immediately take it back. But 3 members of Kagyu in mid lane right now. Actually, 4 if you see Trix Tank finding Dazer possibly out of position here. Trix Tank might go for this. A good beads there. I'm not really sure how he was gonna. Was that beads? I definitely saw some yellow come up. He didn't get knocked back. I'm sorry. He has Magi's Blessing. So the 45-second cooldown of Magi's Blessing actually absorbed the tail whip knockback, which is a really, really good situation for him, because if he got knocked back in that situation, I don't think there was a way he was getting out.
Very close call, but the Magi's going to keep him alive for now. Looks like they want to set up for a gank here on Apollo in the left lane. He's going to spot it out there. I'm really just going to miss, and that's going to be a free escape for Apollo. A little bit of an eager initiation. I think they waited a little bit longer. Exotic had no idea that they were there. Had no visions. It got countered out. Finally see some vision coming out from Kogyu. A little bit too late, though, as the gold free is down. It's a lot of vision left side. In fact, 4 wards are on the ground for Cog on the left side of the map. It's like they can even hear us right now. There's the dash of the audio. Creeping Curse comes out there. Thor going to go up to the air. They need to be careful. They want to go in on possibly Naja. There's Zeus. Wait for the dunk down. Here comes the slow from the Sobek ultimate. Earthbreaker, Apollo dunk, driving strike, excavate, Zeus ultimate, huge burst on the Naja, dropping very low. Apollo actually dashes backwards in the enemy team. Big mistake for him there. There's the Belch. The guys coming up. The Bacchus is going to stun out the hell. 3v2 here as Hercules is forced to retreat. Charge spray into tower range, but again, Bacchus very tanky. Gets stunned. Very good detonate, keeping him there. There's a tectonic grip from the Thor. Hercules going to run right by him. Combat blink comes out just in case. So overall, a 2-for-1 exchange for Cog, even though Imaginary Team had a great engagement. I really question as to why Apollo decided to dash forward through 4 enemies with low HP.
I mean, sometimes you got to go for it. I think he thought himself a little bit too powerful. I don't think he recognizes that despite the fact that he has a few kills or just a lot of presence, he's still a little bit behind. I mean, 1-4 right now, 1-3 before even going in there. His assists aren't really going to translate to the damage that he thinks they're going to. So when he went in there, I think he expected that he was going to have a little bit more control than he did. Captain Twig will have his dash here. A good knockback. He's going to get out. The stun should be good, but Detonate's going to land before he actually gets it off there. Does a lot of damage. The teleport, actually, I don't know if this is a great look here. I'm surprised they're not just trying to go on this. Thor's doing some damage, but not enough. Surprisingly, Sprayer does not turn around there. That could have been an easy kill for him, but decides not to go for it. But COG working themselves back into this game now, only down by about 1,700 gold at this point, and their experience difference really starting to shrink. Only 1,000 at this point. That doesn't even equate to a level.
Thor trying to grab a kill on the Sobek, got a lazy back there in the jungle. Thor teleporting just as the Sobek disappeared. I like the decision making from Shibalanki, played by Game Hunter in the middle lane. He kind of just ignored everything that was going on and focused the tower down the entire time. In fact, he threw out his poison darts and didn't even Rising Jaguar, the Audney, who ended up getting picked off by his team. He figured 5 people next to him, 5 people total, 4 people next to him, was enough to get the kill, and indeed it was. Audney ended up falling there, but Shibalanki just focused the tower the entire time. He was not harassing anyone, he was not clearing minions, he was not doing anything but railing into that tower with those bolas, and it paid off because that was just enough to finish off and get a tower kill there. Here's initiation in the right side lane. Hercules about to get finished off by the detonate from Zeus. A really easy pickup and good rotation. I think Hercules is hitting that point where he's realizing he's not as strong as he thought he would be, especially since he went for Void Blade into Jotun's Wrath versus any tanky items thus far. So a free easy kill there for the Hell Zeus combination in the right lane. Now the 5 players are grouping up for COG, and it seems like COG is starting to hit their momentum again.
I mean, this is the veteran team that I've been looking for. That teamwork that even playing from behind has a lot of potential. And there it comes again, Armillary Sash. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the detonate off there, but it will do enough damage. It looks like Thor going up to the air will have a chance to escape, but they're going to rush down this area, maybe try to get in there, but a good quad stun there from Captain Twig's going to try to keep him safe. I'm surprised they're actually not just going to push this advantage, but then again, that you do see Apollo split pushing. Already has taken a tier 1 tower. The teleport's going to be good there. I don't know if all 5 people needed to back for that situation, but better safe than sorry. They're going to be able to clear this up. Right now, COG still about 1,500 gold behind, but now the experience difference is pretty much dead even.
Yeah, it's pretty lined up there. About 1,600 gold still up for COG, but it's split up. It's not a whole lot. Looks like they might be able to go for the Fire Giant, which is a very, very risky play. Audney's going to spot it out. Thor is on his way. Checking on the Hand of the God situation, we see tier 3 on Bacchus, who is dead, and of course tier 3 on Sobek, who is still alive. So with Bacchus dead, Detonate comes out on the Audney. Audney got too frisky there and gets picked off. So with Bacchus gone for 10 seconds without a tier 3 Hand of the Gods, in fact, they only have tier 1 for the Thor and tier 3 Fist of the Gods for the Hercules, which is still a 10% Detonate. They might have to leash this. Looks like they're still inside. They're actually going to leash the Fire Giant completely and do a team fight with very low HP. Charge Break comes out. Excavate on the Sobek. He's dropping lower and lower. There's the bouncing rings. It's going to do a lot to finish off the Thor. The Detonate from the ultimate will finish off the Hercules. Now they're going to tell the Apollo, who has 2 charges, 3 charges, a triple kill for the Zeus. Possibly looks like it might be. No, it's a double kill plus 1 kill before. So Zeus doing work there in that team fight. Even though they took a bunch of damage from the Fire Giant and were unable to finish it off there, they still got a big team fight victory. The 4-man kill, and Bacchus respawns as his team goes down, and he's so very lonely right now.
Man, Game Hunter got out of that situation with Evo level resources. I'm talking 1% health, 1% mana. Barely escaped around the wall before jumping out. But look at this. Dazer recognizes what's going on. It doesn't look like COG has vision. He's going to go for the steal here. He went in too early. He went in way too early. They have a chance here to pick him up. It's getting really low here. If they drop him too soon, he actually has a chance to steal it. But COG does get it and pick up the kill. That's going to be a deicide. Captain Twig has respawned. But speaking of Captain Twig, poor guy put in the worst situation possible. Windfire Wheels actually dropped him into the lava, and with the way that he was facing, he must dash just to get out of the pure danger. Actually winds up dashing through the lava while the Chain Lightning is bouncing off the Fire Giant. So he got picked up immediately, but now he's back. Maybe going to try to put some defense into this Phoenix. I don't think he's going to even pretend that he's going to go anywhere near this tower. Respawns, it looks like we do have Ependary, NQ, and Exotica, but they do not have their support player. That's going to be a lot of CC loss. The bombs are going to rain down. No stuns onto anyone. Twig will go down almost immediately to about 10% health, and then get picked up with a detonate. Smart play by Risterian. Trix Tank pushing forward. No fear whatsoever. The Phoenix has been taken out. The Excavate will go off, but bounce off the Phoenix wall, only hitting one person. Again, Cubo Fred getting out just barely. Ependary throws the hammer and winds up finding a kill in the process, and now they're real deep in there. The Minotaur swinging, but not doing too much damage onto that super tanky Sobek, and now 4 people will rush into 3, actually 4, as Dazer has respawned here, and they're going to look for an opportunity to try to maybe get something happen here, but it looks like they are going to back off. Gold Fury has actually respawned. It seems they're going towards the right side to pick up the tower, so now their objectives will be split here. Do they try to counter by getting some gold on the Gold Fury, or are they going to go to try to defend this almost impossibly strong COG EU against this tower?
Well, I mean, you'll see a 1-for-1 exchange there in the middle lane. You saw the Arnie exchange for the Najah, but it's something that I like to talk about all the time with the disjoint respawns. The fact that if you get a kill as someone's coming back up, then you have to wait for that person. You'll never really reach full strength. And COG has managed to extend this disjoint respawn period for about 3 minutes straight or so. We saw the Bacchus go down, then all 4 players go down. Bacchus was then dead as they were respawning, as he got picked off there in the middle lane, and then all of a sudden 4 men without Bacchus, and then Bacchus comes back up as Arnie goes back down. So I mean, they just never really seem to hit full strength as the kills come out from COG in a disjoint fashion. And you saw them go for that team fight in the middle lane without their Bacchus, without the ability to CC, without the ability to disrupt, and that Bacchus ultimate, even though it doesn't do a whole lot of damage at this point with no magic items to boot, the game getting later and later, that intoxicate drunk state is so very good for team fights, causing so much chaos. And we're going to see a situation now where we're about 4,000 gold up for COG. You see the graph really portrays how neck and neck this game is being, and back and forth. So it goes up in favor of COG, then goes down in favor of Imaginary, stays there for about looks like about 12, 13 minutes or so overall. Actually more than that, actually about 20 minutes or so overall, and it swings right back into COG's favor as they get the Fire Gen, a big team fight win. Now they're going to get Gold Fury. It's going to put them up just about 7,000 gold total as it does update. Looks like we'll see what it's going to be. Looks like it's going to go right up. No, it hasn't been updated just yet. So 8,500 experience lead as well. The Gold Fury going to finish off, and it actually had already updated by the time I looked at it. So 5,500 gold total. 19-12 now, the 33, almost 34 minute mark. COG is finally coming back to this game. It seemed like they got complacent in the early stages of the game with how well they were playing, and then Imaginary Team just capitalized on it as much as they possibly could have. You see Sobek just face taking this tower until the minions show up. He's going to go ahead and release this pretty soon here. Tectonic Rift comes out from Thor, but I think again at this point, I mean, COG is just dominating yet again.
Well, Imaginary's trying to stay relevant here. You see Apollo split pushing, granting his team at least 1,000 gold, but that still leaves them about 6k behind. At this point in the game, 6k isn't as strong as it would be earlier on, but at the same time, I mean, 10,000 experience. You see the level 20 starting to peak out here, 4 on each team, so the experience means less and less, but Trix Tank still 2 levels ahead of Bacchus, who's sitting on Meditate, whereas we have Trix Tank sitting on a level 2 Creeping Curse. Now, this could actually wind up being something like an Enfeebling Curse, which would really strip down Apollo's damage.
5-man push left side lane. Phoenix is now exposed. You said we had, as you mentioned, a 6,000 gold lead. 4 towers still remain for COG EU, so a 4 tower lead for COG with a 6,000 gold difference means they're only about 2,000 gold ahead once the towers are down. Initiation from the Sobek. Armillary Sash, Belch to the Gods. A little bit of initiation here. Sobek goes in the ultimate. Najah goes up into the air. It's going to be enough to finish off the Thor. It's going to be first kill of the team fight, almost for free. No follow-up there from Imaginary Team. 4v5 here in the left side lane. Looks like the Phoenix is now being pressured. There's nothing they can do to defend this. Now their base is exposed. This Phoenix will fall. The mid Phoenix is down. 2 Phoenixes are down. Fire minutes are streaming in to the Minotaur. They have full waves on both sides. Of course, the left side will take a bit before those fire minions do start showing up. They're going to go straight over the right side, get 3 Phoenixes down, and they can literally do anything at this point.
I think they did a good job of just ignoring Captain Twig. Like, hey, don't fight Agni. Just get away from the Agni bombs. Fight other people. And that's what we've seen so far. But in that last fight, I mean, we saw Thor try to jump in and do some damage to Trix Tank through the Mjolnir's hammer, which, I mean, oh wait, we actually have a Polk here. Sprayer, the only person in this game who hasn't died. I don't think is going to be threatened there, but he's going to be jumping in. Oh man, there's just so much damage they're able to put forth, and they don't even mean to do it. I mean, that's the best part about it, is that they just throw random moves out, and then people are forced to retreat. While they try to fling Sobek and fling Hell, and they're both so impossibly tanky at this point that there's nothing to really threaten them. I mean, look at Hell right now. 506, no deaths, a ton of damage. I'm sure the healing is through the roof, and now they're just blindly doing Fire Giant, not even committing to it. They're just standing in lava, acting like it's no big deal. Speaking of it, looks like Hercules is going to be flung back there. 3 stacks, the detonate's going to be good. Immediately, NQ is going to be grabbed there. Trix Tank, it looks like he's stunned out, but he's going to be able to get back, and now all 5 members still ready to go. Ristarian actually got pretty low there, but again, they do have a Hell to heal him back up. And now Shibalanke also is going to be joining the fight. Still, all 5 ultimates remaining. I guess 4 if you count the fact that they have Hell. There's really not much they can do to try to stop this.
Box being thrown back there. A good Agni ultimate is going to force Zeus to disengage. Going to take damage from the Fire Giant. Najsa goes up into the air. The kill goes down to Bacchus, dropping right back down. Thor dunk on the Hell. Berserker Barrage comes out here. Zeus ultimate actually hits nothing as they already disengaged. Thor's going to blink away, double blink away in fear. Actually, the teleport from the Yonazuma and the combat. Like, Agni's going to die. Dashing forward is the Apollo, but what can you do? The detonate should be enough to finish this one off, but not necessary as the blink comes out from the Hell to finish them off there. 4 players dead. Thor is the only one to make it out there. They can go back and get the Minotaur, but in the meantime, the fire minions were streaming into the base. The Minotaur's at half HP. They're forced to disengage. The Thor has to defend this. Hell and Shibalanke say, why do we need Fire Giant? Why not just kill the Minotaur right now with how many fire minions we have? Thor's going to go over the wall, pull aggro, taking damage. Shibalanke misses the base attack, but who cares because the Minotaur is dead. Cognitive Gaming, and before this ends, look at the graph. Look how much this graph went back and forth until the very end. Cog took the lead. They had enough to hold on to it. Imaginary Team kicked it up a notch. They turned on the heat on Cog. They were not able to react to it early on, and Imaginary Team took the game back away from them. Again, I have to remind you, there is a string pulling error with the scoreboards here at the very end. This was not Cognitive Gaming up against Epsilon. This was, in fact, Cognitive Gaming up against the one, the only Imaginary Team. We watched in the last matchup. They're going to be losing this semifinal round up against Cog. Cog will be facing off in the finals. Let's see if we can update the brackets to see if that has been posted just yet, as Epsilon up against Cognitive Gaming in the finals here. But, I mean, what can we say about this match, CM?
I mean, the healing. I mean, the healing is 32,000. He did more healing than almost any 2 people did damage. Given the fact that Captain Twig started to scale really, really hard, the fact that he only did 27k when getting an early Rada Tahuti just kind of put him too far behind for them to deal with. Sitting 6-6, the only person even on his team. Of course, Ependary going 5-2-5, it just wasn't enough for them to carry. And despite the fact that Game Hunter had a little bit of early trouble and not actually getting his passive fully stacked, 14 assists on there, really utilizing that ult. But, I mean, what can you say? Trix Tank and Sprayarn just absorbed everything and healed it all back.
Yeah, 7-0-7 there on Hell. We see 2-1-15 on Sobek. I mean, a very easy split there. I mean, 2-1-15 is a very, very good support score to boast about, especially with 33,000 damage taken. You mentioned it there. See 32,000 healing done. Looking at enemy team, they did a great swing of damage. In fact, 27,000 from Agni. You almost always will see a lot of damage from Agni in every game, just by the fact that everything he does is AoE, and he has great mobility to keep himself alive during team fights. Hercules doing about 14,000 healing to himself. Of course, a little bit expected there. Apollo had a very tough time this time around. 1, 6, and 9 in total. Took 26,500 damage. That's actually going to be the second most on his team behind the Hercules. So Apollo getting shut down very, very effectively early on. 0, 7, and 8 on Bacchus. Well, let's look at the item situation overall. We're going to see Bacchus go for a very standard pickup there. The Thor actually went for a Magi's Blessing, which limited his damage output, but of course saved his life, I believe at least 2 times thus far. Agni, Agni did a very good job throughout this entire match. He played a strong matchup. He had the Ratatouille rush early on. They made a big swing for a large lead in about the early stage of the mid game, but it seemed like overall Cog just came back into it. They're waiting for that period where they just had the team fight advantage. Zeus got a lot of damage output overall towards the team fight end. Waiting for those detonates to come out. Overall, we're going to see 29,000 damage done by Zeus. In fact, that is going to be the most on his entire team. Actually the most in the entire game. So again, Zeus proving to be very effective here in this 45-minute match.
All right, so going into the finals, guys, we're going to see COG EU once again going up against the newly named Epsilon Esports, formerly Vengeance. They have been sponsored. So third place from Gamescom, Epsilon are going to try their hand at the seemingly undefeated or seemingly undefeatable Cognitive Gaming EU.
Yeah, even in the early game, Imaginary Team thought they had it with that big swing backwards, but of course just the base power that is Cog EU came back and just bit him right in the tail. So we're going to cut to the a brief break here. We'll get the final setup for you guys. It's going to be Cognitive Gaming EU up against the previous Vengeance Esports, Epsilon Esports, now is the new name, as DM just alliterated to you. So we'll be back in a few minutes while we get everything set up. So enjoy the music, get prepared. I'll put a straw poll in chat for you guys to vote on who you think is going to win, who you want to win the finals. It's going to be a best of 3. So we'll take it game by game. So game 1 coming up soon here. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Dry Bear, and of course DM Brandon is joining me today. We are casting the EU Tournament Series number 20. We've been at this for 5 months, if you can believe it, and we're coming back with the grand finals game 1 in just a few moments, so definitely stick around.